Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101 Browns NFL early games post-game show and NFL late games preview show. Well, boy, the Browns they hold on and they get the win today over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 31-21 at Brown Stadium today. And boy, this was one of those games where the Browns just really dominated, just really were able to hold on and get the win. To quote NFL Films legend John Facenda, Sunday's game between the Browns and the Jaguars was fiercely fought, but typically flawed. The Browns recorded a 31-27 win in a game that included 7 turnovers, and that's what can cost you. And Denzel Ward was inactive today. Jawan Thornhill had a calf injury. Ethan Posey got an arm injury. Jordan Elliott with a head injury. Ugbo Cormanolo had a groin injury. Jerome Ford still battling a wrist injury. And Grant Dopit had a groin injury. None of those guys played today. Right on top of him. And I'm listening to the fifth quarter right now as I'm doing this. And along with the turnovers, the story of the game was Joe Flacco, who picked up his 100th career regular season win. The 38-year-old former Super Bowl MVP threw 3 touchdowns and eclipsed with a 300 passing yards for the first time since he defeated the Browns as the Jets quarterback in Week 2 of the 2022 season. This is why it's important for fans as well. Flacco started the game with a pair of touchdown strikes to tight end David Njoku and play action passes ahead of 14-7 at halftime. The Browns enjoyed leads of 27-7 and 28-14 in the second half, but were unable to pull away from the Jaguars thanks to 3 turnovers forced by Jacksonville's defense. Fortunately for Cleveland, the Browns came up with 4 turnovers of their own that included 3 interceptions off Trevor Lawrence, who was clearly compromised. Next man up mentality still play. See, I lost my opportunity not to play. When he didn't play, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, Trevor Lawrence playing and not our best corner. Oh my gosh." What happens to the trio? The trio was Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, and Denzel Ward. But what happened to them today? Martin Emerson. Clear was compromised by his injury ankle. Lawrence's third pick, courtesy of defensive back Greg Newsome II, set up Flacco's touchdown pass to David Bell that stretched Cleveland's lead to 28-14 early in the fourth. Ahead 28-21, the Browns defense forced a turnover on downs that set up Dustin Hopkins' 55-yard field goal with 3:10 left. The Jaguars rallied for a late score, but they were unable to mount a comeback after James Pratch scooped up by the ensuring onside kick with a minute 32 remaining. And we'll have a full breakdown of Sunday's game, and there will be one shortly. But in the meantime, relive the action in real time by checking out our live blog. And I got to tell you, this Browns team, but our defense played exceptionally well today. And we'll be in the show. Absolutely. All right, we are still waiting for head coach Kevin Stefanski to take the podium. Yes, and we are waiting for him to take the podium to have his press conference. The Giolito's Pizzeria, fifth quarter. We'll be right back. And the fifth quarter is in commercial right now, so I want to have a little technical problem here. And boy, this one. If Browns had not, I'll tell you one thing: if the Browns had not gotten that first down, they would. It would have been a lot tougher for them to get the win in this game today. And I gotta tell you, yeah, this Browns. I gotta tell you, this team really just knows how to get the job done, and but despite those injuries, though, they really but the defense has really been picking it up, and hopefully we'll get to. And as they had the early lead, 7-0, and then they were up, uh, and then they were up 14 7 at halftime, and it's just they really, and as you know, the Browns waived PJ Walker yesterday, so and right now, before I do anything, I want to as of late, he has 2 touchdowns in the game. Give out the game balls. That he can extend this offense. Look how many Joe Flacco, 26 of 45 carries and attempts, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kareem Hunt, 10 attempts, 27 yards, 1 touchdown. And David Njoku, 6 receptions, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. And and they get the game balls, and but, he's going to go through his progression and take what the defense gives him. And Flacco to me allows Stefanski to Flacco's been looking really good in these last 2 games. I think he may be getting a start next week if Dorian Thompson Robinson does not play when we play the Bears next week. Stefanski really wants. I don't really think that his heart of hearts he wants a mobile quarterback like a Deshaun who can still throw the ball, but somebody who's also mobile. But they stay put in the pocket. This doesn't have the wheels. The Browns total yards at 385 yards, passing yards at 303, 82 in the rushing yards, and 5.2 in the yards per play. And there were 1 sack for the Browns, 4 sacks for Jacksonville. That's what it's all about this late in the year. And the penalties, there were 8 for the Browns, 7 for Jacksonville. And interception thrown was 1 and 3 for Jacksonville and 1 for Cleveland. And those were and then 2 fumbles for the Browns, 1 for Jacksonville. So there were 3 turnovers for the Browns, 4 for Jacksonville. But they just really, the Browns really kept this game intact, and they did not. They did not let this one slip through their fingers, and they got it. And so makes it easier for Stefanski because you have a Deshaun Watson back there, or even a DTR. It's like, do I call a run play? Or do I call an RPO? I gotta tell you, this was a game where the Browns just needed to win, and they got it. Well, so that kind of takes it away when you have a Flacco back there. See, as soon as Flacco comes up, like being a super veteran. And no one prior to the reason had Joe Flacco as the first 300-yard passer for the Browns in 2023. Yet here we are Flacco crossing the 300-yard mark in Week 14 for the first time. A Browns quarterback has surpassed the mark since Jacoby Brissett did it in a road game against Buffalo in Detroit on November 30th last season. It's been a weird 13 months, so weird that we can legitimately utter the word playoffs. Not too loud, of course, and it's not crazy, in fact, at this point. And when that can happen, you've been in the same place, just window dressing. Right. So it wasn't a lot of teaching; it was just window dressing for him. But the Browns are very much in the AFC wildcard race for the playoffs. Almost every Browns game this season has been followed by guys saying the word resilient. Here they are on their fourth quarterback, sitting at 8-5 in control of their playoff destiny. Every team behind them has at least 6 losses. The Browns won this game while turning the ball over 3 times, and they continue to win games while being loose with the football, something Jim Andrew Berry lamented all the way back during their Week 5 bye. But here they are still winning and still on a path to the postseason. And the defense found itself on Sunday forcing 4 turnovers of their own, applying pressure throughout the day and making life difficult for the Jaguars. And this was the type of relentless performance we've come to expect from this team. Not perfect, but relentless and disruptive. And I got to take a step back and put this all into perspective. There is no way anyone believed the Browns would enter this final 4 games of the season, given the injuries that just keep piling up with the playoffs right in front of them, and opportunity to play games beyond Week 18 in a season when other teams might not have been as resilient. The team responded 2 straight losses out west with a complete game again. Not perfect, but complete. Both sides of the ball contributed to this win. And that is absolutely the truth there. And the passing game once again looked as good as it has all season. The second consecutive week under Flacco, it was brought to life. He threw for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns. David Njoku had one of the best games of his career for 6 catches, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And even David Bell got into the fun with a 41-yard touchdown on a 4th and 3. On the other side, Martin Emerson Jr. had a career game too, intercepting 2 passes. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe where the Browns are right now. It's a credit to Kevin Stefanski, Jim Schwartz, and a resilient group of players who just keep fighting back. The Browns control their own destiny. Who would have believed that? So, what point did you think you had to go line of sight? So, this is really one of those games where the Browns, it wasn't perfect, but they got the win. So, I got to tell you, this was one of the games where the Browns just really prevailed. And I got to tell you, this game really.
To get back to what we were talking about, because he was a part of this offense that looked pretty elite today, if I can say that. But I did go through the first 2 touchdowns.
This team really came out fighting, and they held on. And this game was elite today.
You don't think they'd be in a playoff hunt. You don't think they'd have a winning record right now.
Yeah, and a lot of people didn't think they would be in the playoff hunt right now, but they are. So.
Yeah, we're still winning games. We're still scoring points. I herald this.
And
he's been able to tailor the playbook to fit different people, and they're finding success any way they can.
We're still waiting for Kevin Stefanski's press conference
to be able to just hang in the game. However, the offense has to score points. It can't be 0-0. So the offense has to score, and I give that to Coach Kevin Stefanski to be able to call a game.
And I give him credit that offense has to score, and I also have to give Stefanski credit for that.
Not be 0-0.
And because this team really has been putting up some big numbers, and
we got David Bell here in the locker room.
And David Bell's in the locker room right now. We're going to hear him speak right now, and I'm going to get you caught up on all the early game scores in just a moment.
Of course, I had to give honor to God for taking the lead and scoring our place. listening to guys come around me with the camaraderie, we go through a lot, and continue to go through a lot. And just in this game, we're going to show them we go through overcoming adversity. And for them to be as happy as I was to see that I still tell that a lot.
The post-game reaction, sponsored by your local Northern Ohio Buick GMC dealer.
And it's always about whatever it takes to win that game that you're playing. So we felt there were going to be opportunities there.
And there's going to be post-game reaction. Kevin Stefanski's press conference is going to be coming up. So we're going to get to right now the early game scores. I've already mentioned the Browns beat the Jaguars. I took Cleveland. My brother-in-law took the Jaguars, and I won on that one. And right now you're listening to post-game reaction. Let's listen in on Kevin Stefanski's press conference.
Some of these, there's some, concepts maybe that, are good, but and we got to do a better job of giving the quarterback and all of our players stuff that they got reps on.
You guys had 8 guys involved as pass catchers today. There's no last week that's spreading the ball around. How important is that kind of moving forward to evolve the pass game?
Yeah, we have a lot of guys that we trust. There's guys that we know when the ball's in their hands, they light up, and that's what we're trying to do. And obviously we got some guys like Amari that is going to be getting a ton of attention from the defense, and that's a lot of what happened today. A lot of what happens in these games. As Amari gets more attention, it opens up opportunities for the other guys.
David and Joe, and that third one really, is the hope that nobody runs with that?
That is the hope. Yes. We saw the same hope that nobody runs with you, Dave. We in that personnel grouping, it's very heavy run, I'm sure. So that's what they were playing. So it's just to get a guy open like that, it's the defense obviously made a mistake. But Dave's a guy, he gets another guy who gets a ton of attention. He's always comes through and makes plays for us and made a great job, made a great play there.
You are listening to Kevin Stefanski's press conference via Scott Sports 101 because I am watching the 5th quarter on CW 43, channel 43. So that's what you're listening to right now.
Continue to coach it. We'll continue to clean up our technique when it's there. But for our defense to take the ball away 4 times, harassing the quarterback, hitting the quarterback, who's a very, very tough kid. That was a big part of this game.
I agree with that. That was a big part of this game, harassing the quarterback and really giving them the hits they had to do. But they do. They have to get some new techniques, and they've got to work on not turning the ball over so many times. That's another thing they need to work on. I agree with that.
That's the name of the game. Again, December football. Number one, all the guys in there are dealing with something. Nobody's 100%. And unfortunately, they have some guys in and out of the lineup. But I give credit to our players for staying ready all along that front. Those guys are ready to jump in at a moment's notice. Nick Harris being, a prime example today. And then the coaches. I think the coaches do a great job of making sure all their guys are ready to go.
Back to the locker room. Here's Martin Emerson.
Cover 8, so quarterback has half field.
We have Amari Cooper that's speaking, I think.
Really, he's crazy.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Atlanta Falcons in the final seconds at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, 29-25. And Atlanta had a chance, but just couldn't do it. And I took Atlanta. My brother-in-law took Tampa Bay. I lost. My brother-in-law won on that one. I agree.
How much did their presence up front in the backfield help you guys?
The New Orleans Saints beat the Carolina Panthers 28-6. Carolina falls to 1-12, and the Saints go to 6-7. We both took the Saints. We both won on that one. Oh, it's Martin Emerson that's speaking, not Amari Cooper. It's not saying Martin Emerson is speaking. He had 2 interceptions in today's Browns win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's listen to him.
Second pick, yeah, it felt great. When I got that second pick, I'm like, oh yeah, from him. I'm playing with me, but honestly, it's like next thing inside, because the game, we still had a long game. We had a whole another half to play, so that's how I took it. take a 1 week, 1 game at a time and everything. And you're 5 now. Seed control seemed like in a wild card. It's unfamiliar territory.
You are listening to postgame reaction on Scott Sports 101 via that I'm watching the fifth quarter on the CW 43, which is a sister station to WOIO Channel 19.
Good game today, want to know, but I'm on to the next. The game's over. Not going to celebrate. I'm going to enjoy it. But on to Chicago.
What's still, even like it might be mad, but what's still Flacco, man? With the way he's played in these 2 games.
The veteran, very smart, poised, and keep the team together and trust him, shout out to
The Giolito's Pizzeria, 5th quarter. We'll be right back.
All right, and I agree with what Martin Emerson just said. They need to make the plays. They need the plays and not have so many interceptions or fumbles, not have so many turnovers. But I agree with what Kevin Stefanski said. Give them new techniques to work on. They need to do that. They need to work on not working the ball. Not they need to work on not turning the ball over so many times. And they also they hitting the quarterback, getting the hits that they needed to, and really harassing the quarterback. That's what contributed to this game, and I agree wholeheartedly with that. And you always got to give your team new things to work on for each and every game. And they've got the Bears coming up next week, and and actually the Chicago Bears beat and stunned the Detroit Lions 28-13 today at Soldier Field in Chicago. Boy, I thought the Lions would for sure get the win on the road. I took Detroit. My brother-in-law Eric Hoyle also took Detroit. We both lost on that one. The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Indianapolis Colts 34-14 at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. And Indianapolis struggled offensively and defensively. They were limited to just 2 touchdowns today. Just weren't able to really get over that hurdle. And I took Cincy, so did my brother-in-law. We both won on that one. The New York Jets beat and just walloped the Houston Texans 30-6. Houston limited to just 2 field goals today. Zach Wilson, what a game for him today. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. What a game for him. 27 of 36 carries and attempts, 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And Brendan Hall, 1 touchdown, 8 receptions, 86 yards, and rushing and in passing, 10 attempts and 40 yards. And so I give the guts to Jane Balls for that game. And so I got to tell you, boy, I thought Houston would get the win on that one on the road, but how wrong I was.
Stefanski outright because after everything we've been through this past week.
And rounding out the early games, the one that ended just before the Browns game ended, the Baltimore Ravens had a game-winning touchdown in overtime to beat the Los Angeles Rams 37-31.
And
I took the Texans for the Texans just when I took the Texans, so did my brother-in-law, both lost on that one. For this one, though, I took Baltimore, and so did my brother-in-law. We both won. Right now, we're tied at 4-4, and we're going to end up in a tie. The Falcons game and the Browns-Jaguars games were the only 2 games we didn't agree on.
Maybe the guys knew, maybe the guys didn't know. Is it hard to prepare for a game when Joe Flacco's going to be the guy? But say there's
and with the late games right now, previewing the late games.
Prepare maybe not knowing who you're going to have.
Giving you a late game update, actually. I'll do that. Minnesota and Las Vegas are scoreless right now in the second quarter with a minute 2 to go. First and 10 at the Las Vegas 10. The Raiders have the ball.
But it makes it hard. I mean, you have to, when you're talking about
And I agree with that. It does make it hard to prepare for each game.
cliches and maybe next man. So everybody has to know what's going on as far as the offense.
And you do. You have to know exactly what's going on in front of you. I agree with that.
Different person. It just gets you more focused as for what you might be doing in your job. And how much more you might be playing.
And exactly. And who knows how much more time Flacco will be playing.
Statement. Hey, they'll know when they know. No one knows yet. he's basically.
And the San Francisco 49ers are beating the Seattle Seahawks right now at Levi Stadium in San Francisco. Second quarter, 3:07 to go. First and 10. First and 15 at the San Francisco 48. 14-10. San Francisco 49ers have the ball.
You don't have to ask nobody else. I'll tell you what.
And it's something, too, if Cleveland has learned anything this season, which is something Stefanski
And
touched on a little
4 of 18 and third down conversions for the Browns. 7 of 17 for the Jaguars today.
And they've had different guys. And he was like, it's hard to get ahead and say, yeah, he's our guy for the rest of the season. He's like, look what's happened to us. I mean, we don't know. Things can change in a week.
But he could say this.
And then you're right. I agree with that too. Things can change for any team in a week. So I agree with that.
Everybody.
And everybody just you got to roll with the change.
Everybody knows that Joe Flacco is starting quarterback for the Cleveland.
And he is. Joe Flacco right now is the starter. The Buffalo Bills are right now leading the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been struggling. 14-0. Second quarter, 6:18 to go. Second and 2 at the Buffalo 28. Bills have the ball. And I have taken Minnesota for the Raiders game. So it's my brother-in-law. I've taken the Chiefs, and so is my brother-in-law for the Chiefs-Bills game. You got to give a shout out to Andrew Berry. This team has really played well today.
There's not a huge drop off. There's little things that we don't see, like the snap.
The Denver Broncos are beating the Chargers at SoFi Stadium 7-0 right now. In the second quarter, 7-0. Second quarter, 8:10 to go, and first and 10 at the LA 18 Chargers have the ball. And Sunday Night Football, the Philly and Dallas, dropping at 8:20 in Big D. And tomorrow's Monday Night Football games, there's 2 of them. The Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins, and the Green Bay Packers, and the New York Giants. The Tennessee-Miami ones on ESPN, and the Green Bay Giants ones on ABC and ESPN. So, but I can agree. You got to know what's going on from a week-to-week basis, because things can't change within a week. So you really got to know. But I just want to. And Joe Flacco threw for 311 yards and 3 touchdowns in his home debut for Cleveland. And the Browns survived a late rally by Trevor Lawrence as they do get a 31-27 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The 38-year-old Flacco, who was only signed 3 weeks ago by the Browns, who are now 8-5 on the season, we go to 8-5, delivered the kind of performance he had almost annually as a visitor with Baltimore. Flacco went 26-45 and improved to 10-2 as a starter in Cleveland. Lawrence played despite spraining his right ankle. Monday night, he threw a season-high 3 interceptions before bringing the Jaguars, who fall to 8-5 on the season, back in the fourth quarter. His third TD pass to Evan Ingram with 1:33 left pulled the Jaguars within 4 points. Cleveland's Myles Garrett then sacked Lawrence on a 2-point conversion, and the Browns recovered an onside kick to close it out. Flacco threw 2 TD passes in the first half to tight end David Njoku and completed a 41-yarder to wide receiver David Bell in the fourth quarter when the Jaguars gambled with an all-out blitz on 4th down. Browns have been forced to play 4 QBs due to injuries and are putting their playoff hopes in Flacco's hands. He'll lead their stretch drive.
I know I've been in a bunch of locker rooms, but
Lawrence, without one of his top receivers, and Christian Kirk was placed on injured reserve earlier this week. And Joe Flacco, let's hear what Joe Flacco has to say right now.
Guarantee anything in terms of going out in the field on Sunday. So feel awesome to go out there and get the win. I do feel like we're doing a lot of good things. Today was a sloppy game. I didn't play my best. We turned the ball over a couple times, and you got to give a lot of credit to our defense the way they played today. 14 points off of Jacksonville got those balls at least inside the 30-yard line both times. So I would say it's up to 20 probably, right? So tip your hat to our defense. Our offense does, I think you guys can see it and feel it a little bit. We have the ability to really start to get over the hump. We're not quite there yet, but we're going to work hard and we're going to continue to get better.
It's not something that Russ would come into play, right?
I think you're always pretty aware when people are coming after you. I say that, but then I also got hit from my right side and fumbled. So, who knows?
And he is right. Who knows? I agree with that.
Listen, there's all kinds of those plays that don't work out. And you hope that you can overcome it and win the game anyway. That was just one of the big plays for us today.
I just wanted to come off the cover so the team come in here to figure out stadium. So much on the line. 48 years old.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not a man of very many words. In terms of well-spoken words, I can sit down at a table and sound like a moron for you. But coming up with words about how this feels, I'm not going to do a good job of that. There's so many different things that are running through my head. It's unbelievable to be out there. It's a really unique experience. I can't say enough to have children that are of the age where they understand what's going on, and I'm going to remember these things for forever. So I'm, like I said, I said it earlier. I'm just trying to stay in the moment and be as grateful as possible, and keep getting better.
Your 100th win, does that milestone mean anything?
I would normally say no, but I was aware of it. Not during a game and things like that, but you are aware of it. And I'm definitely proud of it. I'm gonna be when it's all said and done someday. I will look at that and it will be something that I'm sure I'll be proud of. So
I'm sure he will.
The receivers will basically wide open. Can you just talk about the play design and how is the execution to get all three?
Yeah, it's awesome for a quarterback when you get that picture. I mean, listen, I think you got to credit how well we've done in short yardage situations and how well these guys have done running the ball all year. So the first, even last game against the Rams, we started to see what worked in those short yardage situations, loading up and coming at people. And I think that's what happened on that first one.
And that's exactly, you got to see what works. And I agree with that. And you're listening to Joe Flacco's post-game reaction on Scott Sports 101 via that I am watching the fifth quarter on the CW channel 43, the sister station to channel WWOIO channel 19.
That is his strength. Get him the ball while he's moving, down the field. He's a tough tackler. You can see his speed. I don't know what he ran or anything, but you can see his speed and strength, obviously, when he gets the ball in those types of situations. He's pretty special.
And I can agree with that.
They were here today, yeah. You don't care. They really don't care that. But, I think initially, every kid reacts differently. My second son definitely was a little bit emotional when I left initially. But ultimately, they have their friends and they have all the things that are keeping them occupied. I'm the one that's trying to hang around the facility as long as I can and stay around people as long as I can because I'm the one going back to a hotel room by myself. I normally wouldn't. So as long as I'm in the situations where I'm around people, I'm good. But when you're back in a room by yourself, there are things that your mind has time to wander. And if they were 3 years old, I probably wouldn't feel it that much either. But like I said, they are a really cool age. They want to hang out. They want to throw the ball around. Like my son brought a ball to the hotel, and I'm just sitting there on the chair, just going like this, So yeah, there's definitely things like that you miss. But
I agree with that.
Profession in the NFL to spend time with your kids and have them be a part of it. So I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure they'll pick on me for the bad plays. That's what I did.
Yeah, whenever you were waiting for some team to call, and you saw this situation.
Jacksonville is banked up on both sides of the ball as the first place Jaguars, who lost for the first time in 7 road games, tried to hold off Houston and Indianapolis in the AFC South. And the Texans and Colts both lost today.
And especially even these guys, they didn't call me till later.
Let's get back to listening to Joe Flacco.
But they wanted me to come out and work out, and I was grateful to do it. And
off that, we perfect. So
I can agree with that.
Playoff race, got a chance to do something. When you make all of that, moment run.
I think it's a little scary to, not sign somewhere in the off season and not be at training camp somewhere. But I was trying to, keep a positive light on it and spin it in a positive way and see all the benefits of possibly getting a call from a team at some point that needs somebody to help them win. So listen, I think it comes down to I didn't have a choice. It wasn't like I turned anybody down in the off season. I probably would have had a tough time doing it, even though I was at the point mentally where I don't know if I would have wanted to go do it. So listen, obviously life puts you in certain situations and you don't know why. You just got to make the most of it.
And Martin Emerson had two defense against Lawrence, who threw an incompletion on fourth down with 3:30 left.
Our next game.
More, let's listen more to Joe Flacco.
So listen, we still got to go take care of business and get better and better and better, and that's really my main focus. I don't want to look at.
And I agree. You got to take care of business. You got to keep getting better and better, and I agree with that. That's what the Browns need to do.
Still that confidence in you that you started wanting to come in and show that. So what have they done to, on the flip side, to show that confidence in you?
I think it helps when you've been around a long time, and these guys have watched you play growing up. There's something about having an older guy in the locker room that guys like to come up and at least wonder why the hell I'm doing it. So there's always some kind of talking point, things like that. So I think you get comfortable with people. I'm confident in the way I throw the ball and stuff like that. So I think when you go out and have good practices, that's the starting point, and then you got to go out and play well in the game. And I think we've done a decent job of kind of doing that so far, so that you can have these guys build a little bit of that confidence.
To maintain that belief that you could go out and still play at a really high level.
Browns coach Kevin Stefanski never announced his starting quarterback, preferring to keep the Jaguars in the dark. Flacco didn't waste time showing why he was the obvious choice over rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson, completing 4 passes for 66 yards as the Browns went right down to the field to take a 7-0 lead.
There's a reality.
Let's listen to more Joe Flacco.
Times, and it's your job to persevere and have belief in yourself. And I'm not saying.
Yeah, you've got to persevere and believe in yourself. I agree with that.
There's a ton of times where you're probably questioning it, and you got to just continue to go and go and go and push and push and push it. Just try to get better and focus on the thing that you're doing.
And I agree with that.
That allows you to not think about all that and just go out and do what you love.
Cleveland brought in its heavy package on 3rd and 1 as the Jaguars 34 at the Jaguars 34. Flacco faked a handoff that fooled Jacksonville's defense as Njoku was left uncovered down the left side for a 34-yard touchdown. Flacco's second TD pass was equally easy. Njoku wasn't initially picked up after the snap. Caught a pass over the middle before a tackle inside the 10-yard line and scored his first multi-TD of Njoku's career.
All of a sudden, I was making a bad throw that I don't usually.
Jacksonville's defense came up with the turnover that set up the Jaguars' lone score in the first half as safety Andrew Weingart stripped away Amari Cooper after a 19-yard game. 2 plays later, Lawrence connected with Ingram for a 10-yard TD to pull the Jaguars within 14-7.
A little different. It's different.
Lawrence didn't appear to have any issues with the ankle, but he wasn't very accurate, completing 11 of 22 passes for 100 yards in the first half. And
that was Browns quarterback Joe Flacco.
And that was Browns. And I agree. You've got to persevere and believe in yourself and really go out there and do better and better each week.
5 kids. And he said, they'll still tell me I played.
Browns starting Jaguars left tackle Ezra Cleveland, who was filling in for injured starter Walker Little. Also a backup, went out with a knee injury in the second quarter. Safety Andre Cisco had a groin injury, went out in the second half. Browns starting center Ethan Poetic suffered a
Yeah, and
Next, Stinger in the first quarter and didn't return. Nick Harris, filled in for defensive tackle Jordan Elliott, suffered a concussion in the first half. Safety Grant Dilbert, groin got hurt in the fourth quarter. Safety Jawan Thornhill has a calf injury, was a game-time scratch, and undrafted rookie Ronnie Hickman took his starting spot. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars host Baltimore on December 17th. And next Sunday on December 17th, the Browns host Chicago. But I got to tell you, you got to go out there and persevere, and that's what the Browns did today. And they really did. And that's just about going to wrap it up for the Scout Sports 101. Browns NFL early games post-game show and late games update show. And you were listening to post-game reaction with Stefanski's press conference and Joe Flacco speaking, and a few other Browns players speaking, courtesy of the CW43, as I'm watching the fifth quarter on that station, sister station to WOIO Channel 19. I'll be back with the late game post-game show once all the late games have concluded. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1, I'm done.